Okay, so on today's video, I want to break down for you a little recap of what I learned from running the Tahoe 200-mile endurance run. This was back in June of 2023, and I want to break it down for you because I've started to post more YouTube content on the channel, and a lot of people have been asking me about like what I learned from my 200-mile races, the lessons I took away, and all of that. So just a little backstory. I decided to do the Triple Crown of 200s last year, which consists of 3 200-mile races over the span of 3 months. And they were in Lake Tahoe, Washington for the Bigfoot 200, and then Moab, Utah for the Moab 240. And so I learned a lot through this process. I had never done a 200-mile race. And so I want to bring you inside of my mind kind of going throughout the Tahoe 200. So for this prep, I had a great coach, Mike McKnight. Mike has run the Triple Crown of 200s like 2 times. I think he's going for his 3rd time this year. And so I say that to say this guy's got a lot of experience running 200-mile races. And that's one of the most important things that I look for in a coach when I'm gonna hire a coach is, do they have the experience? Have they done it before? Because there's just so much you learn through the process of actually doing the thing that doesn't make sense to not have a coach to have a coach who has not done the thing, right? And so I hired Mike. I literally just reached out on Instagram to him, and he's like, yeah, let's hop on a call. He gave me his prices. I'm like, dude, bingo. I want to work with you and all of that. So that really helped. I decided to get on a low-carb diet, which was going to speed up my recovery process. Definitely think it did. And essentially, I was supposed to run, I think I may have been wrong in the beginning, I was supposed to run the Tahoe 200 in June of 2023, but it got bumped back to July because there was actually still so much snow. Lake Tahoe had a record snow year, and so I had to push it back to July. So come to race time, and I had 2 of my cousins out there, 2 really good friends out there to support me. And we rented an Airbnb. It was awesome. We got going on the race. This, mind you, this is my first 200-mile race, so there are a lot of things. Even when you do have a coach, you learn through the process of doing it because the coach can only help you so much. They can tell you what to expect, but it's not like actually feeling what that is like. And so I get out, I'm going on the Tahoe 200, and one of the things that they have you do during these races is because they're so long and they're on trails, you have to install a GPX file onto your watch or onto your phone so that you have the course map. And so for me, I put it on my watch, and there's a navigational tool. It's really cool. This watch, I know a lot of people are gonna be asking. So it's the Coros Vertix 2. Coros is the brand, the Vertix 2 is the model. I really liked it. I got it because I needed the battery power and I needed the navigational tool. So I ended up putting this on my watch, and this leads me into my first point, the first lesson that I learned from doing the Tahoe 200-mile endurance run in July of last year. And so essentially I get this watch on, it has the map, it's really cool, it beeps at you if you get too far off course. And one thing I didn't realize is that this watch, on that feature where it shows you the map and the lay of the land, it counts down how many miles you have left. And so I didn't think of it that big of a deal at first, but sure enough, 20, 30, 40 miles into the race, when I'm tired, I'm drained from the sun shining, being at 10,000 feet of elevation gain, and running 20 to 30 to 40 miles, I was exhausted. And so when I saw on my watch that it said, yeah, you have 160 miles left to go, it was demoralizing. And so I let that creep into my mind too much, and I was focusing on the gap. I was focusing on, here's where I want to be, which is the finish line, and here is all that I have to go. I'm so far away. And if I feel like this, how could I possibly go the distance. And so essentially when I was feeling that, I ended up just having a really, really rough time. And those thoughts just started to compound and compound and compound to the point where at one point it was unbearable. I was about 40 to 50 miles in, probably 50 or so miles in. When that was happening, I was thinking about how much I had to go. I had 150 miles, my watch was telling me, and I could have switched watch faces, but to get back to the map, I had to see that. And something as small as seeing that over and over and over and over again is gonna plant seeds into your brain. So you have to be very, very careful of what you start thinking about on these races. And so essentially that happened, and then I was dealing with some GI issues, some diarrhea on the course, to be honest, and I had to run alone because I was running with a pack of people, but then I had to go to the bathroom. I got pushed back, and that was demoralizing. And so that essentially leads to that first point of I was focused on so much, how much I had to go, the 140, 150 miles left to go, when in reality, I should have been focused on just getting to the next aid station. This is what's called segmentation. It's breaking down a bigger goal into smaller parts. And we've all learned this, we've all used it before, but it's so important to actually strategically apply it, especially to these races. And one thing that makes it easy about doing it in this context is with races like this, there's aid stations, right? And so it's really easy to segment the race. You just focus on getting from one aid station to the next, then to the next, then to the next. You don't focus on how far you have to go. You just focus on the part that you're in. And so for me, I ended up really failing at that during the Tahoe 200, and that's what led me to almost quitting. And I essentially I think it was 60 miles in was the first sleep station, and I got there, I think we started at 9 a.m. and I got there around midnight or 2 in the morning, and so I was gonna sleep. And honestly, when I pulled up to that aid station, I was demoralized. I was defeated. I was like, man, if I feel like this at 60 miles in, how the heck am I gonna go 140 miles? Because I've done 100-mile races before, but to tack on another 100, like, how is that even possible? Is what I started thinking in my head. But one thing that I remembered from my coach, Mike McKnight, and this is just another reason of why it's so important to have a good coach, and as Mike pretty much saved me the race, he told me before the race, he said, before you make any decision to quit, Pierce, you gotta do 2 things. You gotta eat and you gotta sleep. And so that is what I did during that race. I ate and slept. That night when I was feeling demoralized, and I woke up and I wasn't feeling like amazing, but I was feeling good enough to just keep moving forward. And so maybe for you, use that in races, but also use that in life. Like, when have you felt just so overwhelmed by everything going on in life? Well, maybe you just need to eat and sleep, and you'll wake up feeling so much better the next day. So first lesson from the Tahoe recap was segmentation. The second lesson is to eat and to sleep. And then I was able to keep going, and and I didn't have any pacers yet. Some people had pacers, and I ran the next section without pacers and got about 30 or 40 more miles in over the course of the next day. And I'll be honest, I came to another point where I was so close to quitting, I was ready to throw in the towel. I was ready to throw in the towel like 3 times during this race, more than any other race that I've ever done before. But this is my next point, my third and final point, is I came into this aid station about 101, 100 miles in, and I'm ready to quit. I'm defeated. I told the pacer that I had now had for the last 15 miles, I told him I'm not even gonna try, I'm done. And so I get to the aid station, I walk up, and I'm like, just not having a good day. And one of my friends, Jeremy Miller, who you may have seen me running with, he told me, he said, "What's wrong? How can we fix it?" And so he went into problem solver mode. And that's the third point, is you need to have a good crew, and your crew has to be problem solvers. Their goal is not to make you feel good, well, within reason. Like, their goal is to get you to finish. And to get you to finish, yeah, they gotta make you feel good, they gotta make you laugh, they gotta help you out, things like that. But they also need to know when it's time to not take no for an answer. Like, Jeremy was not letting me out, because he even told me, I remember this around the fire as I was about to quit. He said, "Pierce," he said, "I know you're in a lot of pain, but this is gonna stop. But if you stop now, you're gonna remember this and regret it for the rest of your life." I was like, dang, dude. Dang. And he went into problem solver mode. He got my coach on the phone, Mike McKnight. He tried to problem solve my diarrhea issues. He ended up getting me this stuff called Imodium that helped with that. He got Mike told Jeremy to get me to drink a lot more water. He didn't take no for an answer. He kept me going, he kept pushing me, and that was a huge inflection point in my race to help me do better and then keep moving forward. So I'm just gonna stop there. Drop in the comments if you have any questions about the Tahoe 200 race. That was my first 200-mile race. I ended up doing it in 87 hours. It ended up being like 220 miles, not 213 or 206, whatever was advertised, but it's okay. It was a lot of fun. And then my 3 lessons from that race are segmentation. You got to break the whole down into smaller parts. Number 2 is to eat and sleep. Whenever you're feeling discouraged, whenever you feel like you can't go anymore, you just got to eat and sleep. And then the third thing is you got to have a good crew. And you got to tell them too, no matter how much pain I may look like I'm in, like, your goal is to get me to the finish. Your goal is to problem solve. And that's how Jeremy helped me so much. So that's the video. Comment if you have any questions, comment if you liked it. Still figuring out if I'm gonna do these more, and would love your feedback. So have a good day and go run your race.